We now move on to step E, the chassis assembly. And I have some of the components set out already, so let's go ahead and begin. We're going to start with, this is the right chassis rail, and this is the steering servo mount and the front bumper cross member, and a few other bits that we'll get to here in a minute. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, there we go. We have the right front fender on, the front bumper cross member, and the steering servo mounting plate. That is the end of step E1. Moving on to step E2, we are going to assemble the right floor pan and one of the wiring clips. Again, this will be a very quick little step. Alrighty, it's on there. We're only putting one screw in on this step. It just doesn't feel right. Oops. It just doesn't feel right for me. But I think it is. We'll see. Alrighty, the end of step 2. Alrighty. Step E3, we're going to assemble the front lower gear cover and the center skid plate to the chassis. I dug these out of the plastics box earlier, and these are the two pieces here. So in this step, we're going to install the lower gear cover. Here's the skid plate here. Hopefully you can see it. And the rear right wire clip. And yeah, that's all we need. So let's start this out. Wow, those things hold on tight. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing it right. The screw bit stays in there. Okay. Let's tighten these guys down now. Okay, let's double check here. Give it a double check. Here's the lower gear cover, which slips in nicely here to the center skid pad. And then the right rear wiring clip. And that all seems pretty sturdy. There's the end of step E3. Moving right along. Step E4 brings us to the back end of the right rail. And we're going to be placing on the right rear fender, the damper cross member, which is this here, and the rear bumper cross member. So just let me find the right fender here. Luckily they're nicely marked right here. So we'll be placing on these three components in step E4. The right rear fender, the cross member for the rear bumper, and a cross member support for the dampers, rear dampers. Here we go. There's the end of step 4, step E4. And now the rest of the 3 steps for E are going to be bringing on the left side to everything that we put on. So let's move forward. Step E5, we move on to the left-hand side of the chassis. And in step E5, we're going to use the left chassis rail, the left front fender, here, and the front battery plate. Not sure if you can see that here. I have begun this step a little bit and have the left rail in and the front 2 screws partially in to the front bumper mount cross member. So let's continue with this step. I'll tighten that by hand in a moment. The last part of E5 is to actually install the front battery plate. Just a little side note, as I continue to build, there is a battery holder that's going to fit in the middle. As all the batteries I have purchased, all the new batteries I have purchased are the little shorty packs. I really only plan on using, for now anyway, using the front battery tray. I know I've said this before, but I really do have my power driver at a very low clutch slip setting. So by no means will I drive these screws into this plastic too hard with the electric driver. Okay, let's just give this a quick little check. Put on the left front fender, the front battery tray, and started the left rail. That is the end of step 5. Step E6, continuing on the left side of the model. Again, I've oriented this to where this is the front of the model. We're going to install the left chassis floor pan and the last 2 wiring clip harnesses. Let's give this a go, see where it looks, see where it goes. This screw is quite a ways from being set, but I have the clutch on the power driver set so low it couldn't even do it the rest of the way, which is fine. I'd rather do this manually. There, that's nice and taut. Alrighty. Summarizing step E6, we have added the left floor pan and 2 of the left side wiring clips. And at that point, just looking at the screws, we got a good tight fit on all those. That is the completion of step E6. The final substep of step E for the chassis is E7, which is placing on the left rear fender, and final tightening up of the rear crossmember. So let's start with the rear crossmember. For that we need 2 10 mils. And now the left rear fender. Again on this one, the left rear fender, it's only showing me tightening it down with using one of the mounting points of the rear fender. So I do believe that something must go here. It must be this one right here. It must be a spot for some part of the suspension. I'm not quite sure. I haven't read that far ahead. So we will just put on what it is asking for, which is a 12 mil. Alrighty, there's the final fender on. The final fender that we added was the rear left. Now the final thing to do on step E is to place on the rock light covers. Now as I understand, these and the rock light areas are these 8 spots here. And it is my understanding that this is where you could put some LED lights in. And for now, I'm not going to be installing any lights, so I'm going to put the covers on for now. Alrighty. Those are the 7 separate steps of step E for the chassis assembly. We just finished up step 7 by putting the rear left fender on. We tightened up the last little bit of the left chassis rail, and then we popped on the 8 rock light covers for now. I did not tighten those down. Maybe I'll buy some rock lights. Maybe I won't, but I just didn't tighten them down really, really tight. Just to the point where my automatic driver clutch started to slip. That should be good enough. Anyway, here is your completed chassis assembly.